Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Anipop Podcast. This is your host, Jaden Day Zero, and with me are your awesome co-host, Marutsuki and the Lucky Duelist. How are you guys this week?
Ducky, you can go ahead first.
Wow, thanks. I'm good. I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm pretty alright, I think. I think I'm feeling better. Yeah, because the weather's gotten a lot better. Except
Has
for
it
yesterday.
though? I don't think so.
It's really
I
sunny.
I don't know.
I mean, not right now because it's like 10 p.m. But like during the day, it's really sunny.
I don't know. I think it has. I mean, I know next week I think it's supposed to be up in the 60s all week or something like that.
Yes.
So the weather has somewhat gotten better. So I mean, it's a start. I'm just excited for summer. That's all.
Yeah, same. Do you guys want to explain why we missed last week?
Because we're lazy
Maru?
people. Because why did we miss last week? Actually,
I woke up from a nap and the only thing I saw was Jay going like, "Ducky the Duck King, no podcast this week. We're tired."
yeah.
All right,
Pretty
there
much.
you go. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We just had to take a little break for a bit, just because of a whole bunch of stuff that was going on at the time. But now we're back for your daily dose of the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Yes, weekly. Oof! Imagine if it was daily.
The daily dose of a weekly podcast.
Yeah, we'd get like 200 episodes within like a couple months.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a lot of like talking, bro. Like I don't think I could do that. I'm already exhausted for this being at work, and I don't even talk at work that much.
Oof. Yeah. I don't know. This week it's like what, episode 26, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, I lost count.
because last time we were happy that we're a quarter of the way to 100.
Oh yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
So for this week, we're going to be talking about something very interesting. I think this isn't really a debate that a lot of people have had. At least from my perspective, I haven't really heard this debate too much, except
Would
when
you
it
call
comes
it a debate, or just like a comparison.
I think it's more of. Well, it depends.
Because so from my perspective, from what I've heard through the videos I've seen and the forums and stuff like that, is that people's been saying that the reason why comics has gotten pretty bad first of all I want to explain what we're going to be talking about before that. But so this podcast we're going to be talking about like comics versus, or like American comics and like traditional comics and stuff versus like Japanese manga and stuff like that, because as a lot of you are aware, it's totally different. Like you would think it'd be kind of the same or something, but it's not. It's like completely different in terms of formatting, in terms of storytelling, in terms of continuity and all that kind of stuff. And now that with that said, my perspective, when it comes to this stuff that I've heard, is that it's mostly because of the whole SJW agenda that Marvel and DC was trying to push these past couple of years. I don't know. I think they started around like 2017 or something.
It's really convenient that you mentioned that. They've just revealed the first gay Captain America.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously?
So I guess they're still going on with that agenda, because there was a thing where they were firing a lot of the these people that did the Star Wars trilogy or the new trilogy because of the whole agenda thing, and because of Disney. But it's happening to Marvel and DC comics and stuff. So like even within the comic books themselves, not just the film, they are pushing that narrative. As opposed to like Japanese manga, or I guess comics and stuff, it's like way different. They don't really care about that social politics and stuff. They more focus on the story because that's how it's supposed to be. And if they so happen to have like a trans or bisexual or whatever character within it, it's not like in your face like DC Comics or Marvel is trying to do. So I guess the big debate there is that how from what I've seen, how comics has been like going downhill, and they're not selling as much anymore as manga. But I guess we can talk about comparisons and our experiences with both of these genres if you guys have any. So I'll hand it off to Ducky. If you want, you can start.
Hello, I am a huge comic nerd, and I've been waiting a month for a comic in the post, and it's still not here. Anyway, so as I said earlier, they've announced the new Captain America, and he's gay, and he's debuting in June in what's called the United States of Captain America, but it's not like Steve Rogers; it's a new person, and by the looks of it, he's gonna be kind of like Spider-Man, where he starts out as just a vigilante with a homemade costume. And I think that's kind of a better way to introduce a character than be like, bam, here's this really strong character.
Right.
So, yeah. I think one of the main differences between the way they represent that sort of stuff is in comics, they're, as you said, a lot more in your face. They're like, hey, this character is gay, trans.
But what do you think? What do you think of that though, Ducky?
I think
since you've read a lot of comics from what you've said, what do you think about that? Compared to all the comics that we've had in the past, because I wasn't really a big comic reader, but I don't know about you. But what do you think compared to all the comics that we've previously had in the past compared to the comics we're getting right now?
I think when it comes to an agenda like that, the manga's definitely better at handling it. Because it's, as you said, less in your face. The characters, it's just hey, this character is whatever identity trait, on with the story. And I think one of the best examples of that in American comics is Wiccan in the Marvel comics, because they were like, hey, he's gay, he marries Hulkling, they still have an entire personality beyond it.
Oh, really?
And then a lot of the more modern storylines with that focus on these sort of identity traits. There are some really most comics nowadays are still really good, but they make bigger deals of one aspect of a character, and sometimes it can take away from the actual storytelling. But it's, from what I've read, it's not very often.
I don't know. It feels kind of often though. I don't know, but I guess it's just because I'm exposed to more videos. I guess because my recommendations on YouTube got ruined by those kinds of content. After watching one video with that kind of content, I just kept getting recommended, and it seems like a bigger.
I was gonna say, for a second you sounded like you were saying, "Oh, it's just I'm more exposed to it than you are. I'm more cultured."
Wow. Okay, I'm not that big of an asshole, but Wow. Okay.
I had to. Go on though.
But I'm because one I did I don't know. For me, it's very interesting how they're starting to do they started doing that because just because of those videos, it makes it, for me, it feels like it's more prominent and it's in the majority of the comics that's being released right now, as opposed to how it was a couple years ago, probably in 2010 or something, when none of this stuff was was it identity politics wasn't really a big thing. But now that Twitter is a thing, it's it is a huge thing, and I feel it's either because it's it's louder, it's being more defined because people are talking about more, but in reality it's only a selective few, or the reality is that there's only a couple of them and the majority of comics are totally fine as they are. I don't know. I can't tell anymore because like I said, I'm not really a big comic person. I've read some comics, but I just didn't have the time to actually get into it. So I kind of wanted to know your perspective, Ducky, of, is it as prominent as it seems? I don't know.
I think, okay, so the two big companies in American comics, there's Marvel and there's DC. Yeah. And Marvel's a lot better at handling it, because when they introduce a character who's part of the LGBT community, they usually make it a new character. In DC, will make it an existing character that they've added this part onto. So Marvel adding a new character means that the old character that people have grown to love is still there, still the same, and then there's another character to learn about. While in DC, it's sometimes like it retcons the existing stuff.
Well, from what I've seen, is that a lot of the big major characters like Iron Man, Thor, Hulk are being replaced by like gender-bent characters basically at that point. Like She-Hulk, Ironheart, and all these other characters that are kind of like Mary Sue characters, which, you know, they are inherently better than their predecessors because they don't have any flaws, because they're perfect. I don't know. That's what I've been seeing from my point of view. But what do you think about
I think they handled it really well when they, like, for example, when they made Tony Stark, like, when they had Ironheart take over, because he died, and then Ironheart got his armor, and the AI in the armor is Tony Stark, so he's not like completely gone. He's living on like in the armor.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think that's probably one of the best ways they've handled it. It's not like they've just been like, "Hey, he's gone. He has this character." They're still acknowledging that he was a thing.
Yeah, but like I'm in this perspective of like, okay, they're replacing all the main characters with more diverse. Nothing's wrong with being diverse and stuff, but the thing is that they're replacing all these iconic characters with like either female versions of them or like LGBTQ kind of like characters, and for me it feels like they're forcing it onto the readers, and because of that, I've heard that the comic shops are either not selling those comics, or they're just like, or the sales for those types of comics are like, you know, not really selling anything at all, because the comic readers, because your average comic reader, from what I can tell, aren't really your typical teenagers or anything anymore, because it's a very niche community. Like, everybody knows about these characters because of the movies and cinematic universe and stuff, but nobody really seems to care too much about the comics unless you're like a hardcore reader that's been into comics for way before all this stuff, way before the cinematic universe existed.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think something I learned about Marvel is that since the comics have a multiverse, when they kill a character, the character's not always dead.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, Tony Stark isn't completely dead, or Miles Morales and Peter Parker still exist at the same time. So, while they've added these sort of more diverse representations of a character, the original can still be there, and I think that's a really cool way to handle it.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, I don't know. I just have like after seeing all those videos, I guess it kind of like influenced the way I'm thinking about these kinds of comics. Maybe you're more open to it. For me, it's like, I feel like it's being forced, but compared to like Japan, because like in Japan, it's like way different. They don't really care about that stuff, and just like how we mentioned before in the previous podcast, that the writer or creator of My Hero got like bashed because of the whole, is this character black, or these people aren't gay with each other and stuff like that, because I noticed that in Marvel and in DC Comics, they actually cater to these people just to get on their good side, but in Japan, the authors and stuff, they don't give a shit about what we think, which is good, because, you know, they shouldn't give into peer pressure by their audience, right? So I don't know, like,
because like I don't know, I agree with you, because like if you force too much of something, it takes away from the actual story and stuff, instead of actually giving it more, you know?
Yeah.
And like I don't know, and like a lot of people who get so upset easily, because like I understand that maybe to people it might be a little frustrating, the fact that there isn't a character they can relate to in that form, and that's understandable. But when you're trying to force something on a story, it's like, I don't know, it's like, if the character wasn't meant to be that way, don't force it to be something they're not meant to be, you know? It's the same way, like, how, like, they're basically being kind of like a hypocrite, because like the same people who tell them, oh, you're either a boy or girl and stuff like that, they're doing the same thing to that character that's already like a certain way, the way they were created, and basically that character, like it's just part like what they are meant to be. It's the kind of character the person who's the creator of that character wanted that character to be, and stuff like that. It's not like the character himself is like has his own consciousness who can pick like what he wants and stuff. This is a fictional character is different from an actual human. A fictional character cannot pick his own like characteristics because that's up to the person who made that character. So pretty much that character is a part of the person who made it. And if the person who made it felt like it didn't need to be that way, then it's not meant to be that way, And like people shouldn't force it on like the creator to make it a certain way just because they want it to. If the creator wants to do something like that, he'll do it because he wants to make a representation out of it, not because like he feels forced to. And it's just unfair to someone who's making a story to be like a form of entertainment and just for fun, to be like put down because he didn't do it a certain way that a group of people wanted it to be and stuff like that. And like even so, like I don't know, it's like people sometimes say like, oh, it's not like like personality and like characteristics and just the story itself is what makes the whole thing great. Then if that's so true, then don't force like this idea that you want just because you feel like it should be that way,
Yeah, but my question is that for you, Mara, it's like, what do you think about this? So, at what point does an idea like at this current time of in this current times where the LGBT community and stuff is more like out there, it's like they have a bigger voice than it used to be, right? Yeah. So and because of that, all these publishers and like specifically a lot of the Western American like publishers and stuff, they're now creating these characters in order to like show like I guess in their terms to be more diverse. But at what point does it become forceful? Like do you think it should just be revealed, kind of like how in Overwatch Tracer, just out of nowhere they revealed that she was gay, right? She was lesbian with Zarya or whatever. And
it wasn't Zarya.
Who?
Oh wait,
no, she had like a separate love interest.
Okay. I was gonna say, I was like, are you saying that she's a lover of Zarya? I was like,
I don't know. I don't know. I forgot who, but initially they.
But yeah, go ahead. Oh, it's a different character that's not in she's not in the game. But
okay.
Part of her life.
Okay, so initially, they didn't really reveal Tracer's background and stuff like that, but because of the whole social media and Twitter and how prominent, the LGBT community has a bigger voice now, now they just out of nowhere just says, okay, Tracer is lesbian. Or, for example, like in Harry Potter, like J.K. Rowling just out of nowhere on Twitter, she just announced that, okay, what was it? Hermione is black in the book.
Even though in the book it says she has a white face.
Yeah. At what point does it become, okay, this is a new character and we're not catering to this demographic, as opposed to, okay, we're just going to put out a character that caters to this demographic because that's what the loudest people are saying that they want from comics and stuff, because they keep complaining.
I feel like it's too much to the point where you have to alter a original character that already exists to make it a way that other people want, like what people want. And I understand, like, if people want something, you can give it to them in a different way by making something completely new. If you create a brand new character and like present it in like a way that's like with their great personality and like their characteristics and their abilities and things like that, and also mentioning like who they are and things like that, like people will love them no matter what. And I feel like maybe altering like a person, like an existing character's like personality, or like, well, not personality but characteristics, like may sometimes be too extreme. I feel like for the Tracer thing, I feel like it was okay because like to me, like finding out later on, like, oh yeah, Tracer like has like a girl, I think it's a girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
Or is it fiance? I forget.
Or probably
like,
fiance or something.
Yeah. And I thought, like, I was like, oh, well, like, they just probably just revealed this, like, to add more character to, like, her background and stuff like that. Because, like, not all characters have, like, they don't all go into depth about, like, their own relationships with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if you're adding it to just one character, like, in a subtle way where it's just, like, just kind of like the same way that they did with Tracer, I feel like it's not too drastic and not too bad, honestly, compared to if you just like the Hermione thing, like to say that she's a black man. Clearly, you didn't write the book that way. You didn't describe her that way. You can't change something like that, especially if it's written like in words, or if you have visuals or something to say otherwise. You know,
right?
If the character has that open space to be able to like add that or include that, and it would make sense that character would be that way, then in that case, by all means, I think it's okay to add that, as long as it doesn't feel out of place or out of character. Like,
so you think that they handled in the comics, because I know like Overwatch, they release like comic strips and stuff about the characters, right?
Yeah.
So do you think in the comics, when they revealed that Tracer was like lesbian and stuff, do you think it was well done compared to a lot of like, because I know manga's like I know there's Maple likes this one show called Uso or Love and Lies or whatever.
Koito Uso, isn't it?
Yeah. Koito Uso. And in that show, spoiler alert, just so you guys know, if you just skip it, skip the a couple minutes forward or something. But in the show, there's this guy who's the main protagonist's best friend, right? And like later on, it hints that he likes him. And I think the way they did that was fantastic, because when he revealed that he has feelings for him, I like flipped, like in an exciting way, because he was such a supportive character. And I did not anticipate him to have feelings for him like that. But I think that way, for me, in my opinion, and when it comes to like, I don't know how they do it, but Japan seems to like, or at least the mangas and like, what's that one, the Korean comics called? Manhwas? Yeah, manhwas. They call it manhwas over there, like the digital comics, Korean comics. Like, at least from what I've seen, the Asian sphere of comics and stuff, they managed to handle this kind of stuff perfectly, because they integrate it within the story really well and does not feel forced at all. I'm even like a big fan of some of their stuff, like when it comes to those plot twists and stuff within like shows and stuff, of how they handled it. But like when it comes to like American comics, it feels totally different, because like for example, the Tracer thing, it feels like it kind of feels like it just came out of nowhere. Even though you're right, Maru, that they didn't reveal her background at all until that comic released. It kind of does feel a little forced, just because of I guess, in my opinion, just because of how the atmosphere is at the moment socially with LGBTQ be more louder and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, what's your opinion on that?
I think it's understandable, because I mean, like, it really does depend on the atmosphere also, because like if all of a sudden you see a character that already exists and you see this big announcement, this like, because honestly, like something like that is like, for a lot of people, it's a big announcement and something big to reveal. So to do something like that, like at this moment when people are mostly talking about it and wanting more of it, it can make it seem kind of sudden and kind of like unexpected, because especially like it's just the atmosphere kind of makes it feel like, oh, they just did it because of that. They just did it because they wanted to keep like people happy and stuff like that. That's understandable. I mean, even so, I think with her character, I think it's pretty all right the way they did it, because yeah, like mentioned, her backstory wasn't like so much like revealed on like her past relationships and stuff like that.
Yeah, because it didn't feel like it was hinted or anything like that. They just revealed it out of nowhere in the comic, and that's it.
Yeah. I feel like if they like maybe like did a mini clip or something like that, to where they showed like, I'm
Like
pretty
hints
sure,
or
I think they
something?
might have.
Did they?
Yeah, like I don't know. I feel like they might have. I don't remember, honestly. I don't remember which came first, the comic or the like the little, you know how they do their little story and like their little
Oh, cinematic clips.
Yeah.
Because I've
Like,
seen.
I'm sure they had something about that in it.
Mhm.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I feel like there was one that had kind of like had
Like
hinted. Or
hinted.
something.
Okay. I mean, if that's the case, I give him props because I did not see that coming.
Yeah,
But
I don't
know.
don't quote me on that though, because I'm not entirely sure. I honestly don't remember. But I do agree with you with the whole like the mangas, the mangas, boy. But like yeah, they do have a good way of being able to, you know, bring out the characters and to like let the character know later, or like whether it's at the beginning or the middle or wherever it is in the story, like they have a good way of making it flow to where people like get the hint that, oh, there's something more than what we expected there to be and stuff like that. They have, I feel, a better understanding of how relationships should work, how people and emotions and like personalities and like just who people are. Just like they have a better understanding of like putting it together to where people get the idea without having to force it on people, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like I think a large part of it is the fact that their characters are like, a lot of people make their stories and their characters to cater to a certain type of audience. So in a way, it's easier for people creating stories to be able to like integrate that and make the story flow a little bit smoother, to make it known that, oh, this character actually likes this other character and stuff like that, and at the same time adding to the story and not taking away from it or anything like that, or making it feel like too much.
Yeah, but with that being said, then like, what do you guys prefer then? Like knowing all this, like, would you prefer the manga? Would you say the manga is like just better than comics in general, or I don't know?
I think
Manga, honestly.
I like both.
I feel like, I don't know, because I've seen like a couple of like I don't know, to me like sometimes like some of the cartoon stuff feels a little like kind of like forced and awkward.
Mm-hmm.
And like it makes it feel like I don't know, to me like sometimes it makes me kind of like uncomfortable, because like, and it's not because of the way the characters, like the whole thing of it, but it's just like the fact that like how they write the characters and make them interact sometimes makes it seem kind of like it's kind of like I don't know, sometimes it feels like it's like being shoved in your face sometimes, instead of like having a good story. Or sometimes it feels like the story changes too much to the point where now it feels like the relationship is the focus of the story instead of what was going on before and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense. I don't know. But not all cartoons are like that, of course. But I think a lot of them struggle with that because like they either add too much of like, I don't know, like, how do I put it without?
It's like a sitcom when one. Okay, so it's like, for example, the world's most infamous sitcom, The Big Bang Theory. Yeah, I'm going to use this as an example, even though it's not a cartoon, where none of them had relationships, and then suddenly, all of them had relationships. You know, it's like they add one thing, and suddenly it's the focus of the entire thing.
Yeah, pretty much something like that. Like it feels like too much, and it's like, okay, how the heck did that happen suddenly to where these characters are dating and these are dating and stuff like that. Or sometimes like I feel like, I don't know, like sometimes there's too much, they're trying to focus too much on different topics in one show, in like one like episode or like one whole entire story. Sometimes shows tend to focus too much on multiple things instead of just focusing on the one situation, because they're trying too hard to include everyone, that they don't realize that sometimes focusing too much on everything can kind of like make the story clustered and difficult to follow. And I don't know, I mean, personally for me at least, it feels like that sometimes. And like I don't know, I feel like you could do it a way different form, like a different way that people can understand that these are the way people are, instead of trying to force it to where you want to focus on everything.
So what would you say that, I don't know, like, there are some really good cartoon shows that are made here in America. Like, for example, your favorite Avatar, that's probably one of the most... I'd say that Avatar is one of the number one American-made shows.
It is the best show, boy. Best show. And hold on. They're getting their own Avatar universe. They're making a studio for it and everything, and just, oh my goodness. Yes, I'm so excited. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, you're fine. Like, I totally get your excitement, because I also, even though I haven't really seen Avatar completely through, I've seen enough to know that it's actually a really good show that covers a lot of like good storytelling and mature topics as well, which I actually like, because like, as a lot of us are aware here in the West, they like to censor a lot of this mature topics, for example, like death, relationships, like love and all that kind of stuff. Like kissing in cartoons was like a big taboo, like growing up, as far as I'm aware of. But in like in Japan, like even the kids shows, cartoons, they don't really they don't care about covering, like they will cover those topics sometimes here and there, not to an explicit extent, but to an extent, like they will show like characters kissing and stuff, like even in kids cartoons and stuff over there in Japan, or in like kids anime or whatever, right? They will do that, but here in America, it's like the biggest taboo, because like for example, Kim Possible, that was one show, like they did pretty well with the story and stuff, because there was a sense of progress, and there was a sense that there was a story, right? Because it's not just like Monster of the Week kind of thing, right? Like a lot of these shows are. And I was like big surprised when in the movie of Kim, probably because it was a movie, that they actually kissed. Yeah, when Ron and Kim actually kissed for the first time, I was like completely in awe, because I did not see that coming, because I'm used to these cartoon shows not going that far in terms of like actually building up a relationship with characters and stuff like that. But I don't know, I could be wrong, because I think I've been seeing a lot of times, like in Cartoon Network, like Adventure Time, Regular Show, especially Regular Show, they did implement a little bit more adult themes, and like they're actually not afraid to like go that route in terms of like storytelling, and do real storytelling, in like relationships and stuff like that, not just like Monster of the Week kind of thing. Like even Ben 10, like a long time ago, like the first or Ben 10. Okay, not the original Ben 10, but like Ben 10 Omniverse or whatever, when he's like a teenager.
Alien Force.
Yeah, the storyline within that show I actually liked a lot, because it's very mature for a cartoon, right? Or same with like what was it called? Not Justice League. What was it? That
Young
one?
Justice.
Yeah, Young Justice. Yeah,
That
that
was
show.
a great show.
Yeah, a lot of people like it because it covered a lot of mature themes, right? Like for a cartoon, and you rarely see that in a lot of cartoons. That's why a lot of people love these cartoons right here. But in Japan, it's like a lot of these shows they're not wary of covering that stuff, which I think is great because you shouldn't really like try to censor that stuff because that's just how life is, right? That's just normal, and because eventually you will learn that. And I guess has to do a lot with like the rating system here in America, where it's like, okay, if it doesn't if it has this stuff, it's considered PG. For some reason, we have two types of G. We have G and there's PG.
We have two types of G.
Yeah, there's like G for like baby kids and stuff like that, and there's PG where
PG
it's like
is a brand of tea over here.
It's
also the rating, but there is a brand of tea called PG Tips, and their mascot is a knitted monkey.
Bruh. I don't know, but like it's so interesting, like how here in America we got so used to like censoring relationships and like trying not to talk about that or expose kids to that kind of stuff. Well, in Japan, it's like they only censor like the very explicit stuff, right? But when it comes to like covering relationship within a storyline in cartoons, it's like, or in anime, it's like, okay, that's fine. And even though it was meant for like young kids, right? They still do it because that's just how they view it over there.
That's just how they roll.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. And I don't know. For me, I think that one, even though with all these great cartoons like Avatar and like Ben 10 and I don't know, Young Justice and a lot of kind of stuff. Yeah. Well, the whole debate with Avatar is like there, but I'm just gonna call it cartoon if it's made in America, just to differentiate it. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I think a good example of like a cartoon that I don't know. I don't think it really went into adult themes, but it sort of handled them better than most cartoons. Was Teen Titans.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that one. Yeah,
because they had that whole episode where like Killer Moth's daughter was like, "Hey, I'm gonna take Robin to prom," and Starfire got really jealous, and that I don't know. It wasn't really like a mature episode, but it wasn't afraid to like
to show some kind of like relationship or like some kind of affection.
Yeah, like they showed characters having more than just, hey, we're superheroes. They showed them as people, as teenagers. Right.
With that said, what would you prefer better? Like, if it was in front of you, would you still prefer anime over like at the time of like if you were younger, like a kid, like 14 or something, and you had like the cartoons or anime? Well, like in your opinion, which one would you think is better?
That's hard. It really depends. I like both, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's like, I think it really depends on like the story, and like the type of characters and like how well written it is and how it's presented. That really like gets me to watch stuff, because I know for sure that I'm still very picky with my anime. And I like if I watch one episode and I don't like it right away, I'll kind of like dump it.
Wow.
And just move on to the next thing, because like I don't know, for me I feel like something really has to capture me in order to be able to keep me going onto it and stuff like that. And I think a lot of it also plays into like the concept and the idea of the story and like the actual like what they want to go for and stuff like that. Like being able to know what the story will go into and things like that is, I don't know, I think it's very important and stuff like that. And if it has like character development and stuff like that, that's even better. Like that, I feel like that's why I liked Avatar so much as a kid, because like I saw this really cool idea and concept that I liked. The fact that people could be able to, like do these, like, move these elements and like manipulate them and create things out of them and like use them for being able to defend or attack and stuff like that. Like, it was something at that time that I kind of like, because, you know, as a child, you're pretty creative, or like most children are very creative and things like that. And I think that show, like, being able to see that creativity and then later on, like, take those 3 books and like make those characters grow and develop and mature throughout the whole story really like plays a lot into it, because as you grow up and you look back at this show that you loved as a kid, you realize and begin to see more of like the maturity and the growth in these characters, and you begin to realize that you sometimes can relate even more to those characters compared to when you were a kid, because as a kid you were probably like book 1 Aang or something, and then as you grow up and you watch that show again, you realize that, oh, you're book 2 Aang, or now you're like book 3 Aang, or whichever character it is that you relate to or whatnot. But you begin to realize that, oh, like it like really goes on to like how people grow up and stuff like that. And it's really interesting. I think that's what I like the most about whether it's anime or cartoons. I think stuff like that, just touching on topics that you usually wouldn't see and stuff like that, or stories that you wouldn't really see. I think that's what like a story and stuff.
When I was a kid, whenever Avatar came on, I would change the channel.
Bruh. That's okay. So
not even a joke.
What made you do that though?
I just didn't like the way the show looked.
My heart.
Okay, I totally get that. Like, I'm not gonna lie. The way it appears is a big thing for me as well.
Yeah.
Like, for example, case number 1, freaking Steven Universe. I hate the character designs for that show. Especially the concept of it. It's very I don't know. It's very catering to a very specific demographic.
We're about to get like a lot of hate on this video now, just from that one sentence.
Probably, but I don't care because, like, it's in my opinion, so they can hate on me if they want. But yeah, I agree. Like, at first, that was kind of the same thing for me as well, Ducky, where like Avatar was like this, looked like this kid show and stuff, and all that stuff. It didn't really look appealing. Like, I didn't really pay attention to it until like later. But you know, it just goes to show you can't like judge a book by its cover.
A big show by its visuals.
Bruh, yeah, true.
Can't believe this. I'm heartbroken, bro.
Okay, so a big show, off topic here, a big show that I really hate the visuals for, like, I despise it with every fiber in my being, is a Netflix show called Big Mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
okay, can we? Yeah.
Horrendous.
We can all agree with that.
The shortest topic to bring up, Big Mouth. We all agree we hate it.
Yeah. That's all. I don't know. They touch on isn't like the story for that, or like the show.
It's just about puberty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like.
There's an alarm.
Bruh. Why you gotta see him like this, bruh?
Wow.
Okay, cool. The alarm isn't going off anymore.
Wow. Interrupting, bruh.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. No, but I don't know. That whole show is just about puberty and like preteens and teens or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never watched it, but I thought it was pretty good.
Comedy using the voice talent of, I believe, Will Arnett, who he was also in the Lego Movie. I know that. I don't know what else he was. They used this really manly voice actor to represent like a puberty monster or whatever it's called, and it's weird.
Really? That's really weird.
My friends made me watch like 3 episodes of it.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thanks.
I don't know. I can agree like with you guys like if it comes to like the style and stuff. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people will still judge like a show by how it looks and stuff like that.
On the
Oh, go ahead.
So I was just going to say on the topic of bad Netflix shows, I watched a show called The Hollow, and I really liked it because it was fun. But then I got to the end of the first season, and they were like, "Hey, by the way, it's been live action the whole time. Like these cartoon characters turn into real people."
That's pretty cool.
No, it's not. It's really bad.
Oh, really? Is it that bad?
It is. It's like, hey, you've been in a video game world the whole time.
So wait. The story is basically where like they're animated, but then they're actually human.
So they're in a video game and they don't know it. Like they've had their memories erased, and then when they complete it, they'll wake up and get out of these machines and find out they're in a game show, and it's really bad. It's Canadian. So
You're gonna.
I'm not saying Canadian shows are bad. I'm just saying that's a bad show.
Canadians, come get the duck man. Attack him.
I do admit though that this concept of it sounds pretty good, but I'm pretty sure the execution was pretty bad from what you described.
The character designs are really like cartoony, where they're like over the top colors or styles, and when they wake up as real people, they still have those designs.
Bruh.
Wow.
Okay, yeah, that's probably bad execution.
Yeah.
It is. It's awful.
Why don't they just look like regular people who just were in a game?
They all look like really bad cosplayers.
Jeez, yeah, no, I'm not watching that. I'm not touching that show at all. Wow. Yeah, I would agree. The concept of it sounded cool, but then when you say it like that, I'm just like kind of grossed out now. Especially because that reminds me of just you.
So there's something I wanted to mention about comics as well, if I may, where I saw this really angry person on, I think it was Twitter, complaining about like diversity in comics, like, oh, Marvel's way too woke nowadays. And the number one example they used, the only example they used that I remember, they used Captain Britain as an example.
Bruh.
Captain Britain is a completely separate character to Captain America, but they're like, oh damn, they're being woke there to make a Captain Britain.
Bruh. Captain Britain's been around for like so long. Yeah,
I know.
I like the name though. That's great. Captain
Wait, so is it Cap? I thought it was Union Jack.
They're two different heroes.
Oh, okay, but they're both in Britain.
Yes.
They're both very British.
Wait, so is one Marvel and the other one DC, or are they both in the same
they're
universe?
both Marvel.
Okay, do they ever do you know if they ever cross over?
I don't know. I own one Captain Britain comic.
Sorry.
I don't know. Sounds pretty legit.
You're just laughing whenever you hear Captain Britain.
Sorry. It just sounds.
It's a better superhero name than Union Jack. He's literally named after a flag.
I just imagine Ducky like wearing like a freaking superhero costume with just a British flag or something.
There is a Spider-Man from Britain called Spider UK.
Are you serious?
Is that his actual
the costume,
name?
It's the name of it's a costume in the PS4 game as well.
Oh okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know which one.
Hey, we need to buy this game and play.
I mean, I have it. Is it the Spider-Man?
What?
Is it the Spider-Man game, the 2018 one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have it. Yeah.
You mean Spider UK? You have that one?
Wow. Okay.
Yep. You have Spider
UK. Mara bullying me for my nationality now.
Yeah, I mean it's been that way for a while now. So.
No, wait, you're gonna make it look bad.
You heard it.
Too late, Mara.
Mara's racist.
Wow. No, it's not like that, people. I swear. I'm very good boy. I don't hate on the British man.
there was like a thing I had there was something I had in mind before we started this recording that I was actually meaning to ask you guys about comics and manga.
Yeah.
And that's the way they're published is different. Like from what I understand, in Japan you get like a magazine, and in it there are like a chapter of a load of different manga series.
Oh, like
while
Shonen
over
Jump.
here while over here you pick which series you read.
Mm-hmm.
And then like over here they get compiled with a full like arc or series into one like large comic, while over there they have it in volumes. And what do you think about the way it's like represented? Like, do you prefer the way you get loads of series in one, or where you pick which series you read?
Ooh, that's a good question. I actually wanted to talk about that. Do you want to go first, Maru, or?
Sure. Honestly, I don't know. I think.
All right, thanks,
I
Mari, for your insight.
Wow, I wasn't done, bro.
Go ahead.
Are you sure? Are you sure about that, Jay?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, no, I don't know. I think a series is. I don't know. I feel like a series is better, maybe, because then I kind of want to know more about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like reading like one part of it and then like knowing that there's more in this other lovely book makes me kind of like it gives me excitement to know like, oh hey, I'm gonna have to read this other thing so I can really continue with this story and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but then also choosing like what story and stuff like that also sounds great, but the thing with that, I feel like you can get confused because then you feel like, oh, this happened, but then people are like, wait, but this actually happened before that, or something like that, or like, oh, this is actually kind of connected to this other thing. So basically, in a way, it's like you would have to still read all of them sometimes to kind of get the loop of like what's going on, like overall. Compared to if you just read it something that's ongoing, like straight on forward to where you read a book and then you read the next one. I think it's better because then you don't get as confused and it's more straightforward to like the story and stuff like that. And compared to the other one, like I said, like it can get confusing, especially if they're like connected in ways and stuff like that. So I don't know. That's my opinion, though.
Okay. Well, I guess for me, it's more like, okay, so my thing is, okay, so I'm gonna go on a little rant here.
Again, okay.
Okay, so.
Wow.
Okay, so first I want to, before I do this, I don't know how they publish comics or manga over there in the UK. Is it like in book form, or is it like
yes?
Yeah. Okay, so
volume.
So you're the same as here. Okay, so my thing is that I really wish that this media and these publishers who publish the manga here in the States and the West, just the Western atmosphere in general, that they would publish it on like the same paper they do in Japan, where it's like, and the size of it is small and compact, just like the ones in Japan. Because if you compare it to the ones here they publish it in like book form with like I guess the paper quality is really good here as well, but in Japan it's like way smaller, and it's like the paper is a little thinner, but it's like I don't mind it because it's more compact and like it's cheaper too. Like over there in Japan it's like $5 for like a volume, and here they charge you $12 for like just one volume, and it's ridiculous because like if you want to buy like multiple parts of a series, it's gonna cost you well over $40 just for like for 4 volumes. It's $40. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Just for reference for anyone not in the US or in the UK, it's £7 per volume here.
Yeah, well, I guess it really depends on the book too, because sometimes if you get the fat chunky ones, they go for like $20 or probably like £17 over there in the UK, maybe. I don't know. But
Numbers.
but my thing is that I hate how they do that. I just wish that they made it so it's cheaper. Because people can't really. That's one thing. Growing up, like I wish I could buy more manga when I was like a teenager, but I couldn't because how expensive it was per volume, and so I had to wait like every month to like buy it. There's also a thing where we would have to. Well, no. See, I guess that's where my rant comes from. It's just the fact that it's so expensive here compared to Japan, but that kind of makes sense though in a way because that they directly publish it over there and stuff. But I don't know, it's just the way that they do it here, and like I kind of just lost my train of thought. Okay, so no, dang dude. Okay, so I had the reason I was going on this rant. There was that, and there was other things too, but mostly a lot of it is mostly just that the fact that they don't handle they use different kind of material to publish it and making it more expensive. But I get that because they want to make more money because the profit margin is probably like very very thin if they do that. So they need to make an extra $3 or $4 per book in order to like. Because they have to pay for licensing and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Question.
I don't know. Yeah.
Wait, were we referring to like the paper quality and like the type of book we like? Because I was just talking about like whether I like it to be like the story to be like straightforward or.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. That's another thing.
Okay.
Yeah. That's where I forgot that. Okay. So
yeah.
in terms of that, and in terms of what Maru just said, so I hate how comics here, like as much as I love the color and stuff, I hate how it's only like 10 pages long. Not even that. Sometimes only like 7 or 8 pages with ads in between at almost like every other page, basically, what it feels like. I despise,
there are a lot of ads.
Yeah, I despise it so much. And they're like really thin. They're not even binded or anything. They're so thin. They're just like magazine paper comics, right? Sometimes
they're like stapled together.
Yeah, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they actually go all out and do provide high quality paper printed on the comics, but that's very few. A lot of them is they're paper back or whatever, or not paperback, but like their magazine back or whatever. I don't know what the heck you want to call it. And they charge you $5 per issue for just a little snippet. It's like almost saying like, okay, here's half of a chapter. If you read a manga, a chapter is like 24 pages or something, right? Or 20 pages. So here's half of a chapter for $5. And manga is like, it's like 5 different chapters, each chapter ranging from 12 to like 20 chapters. And that's like almost 8, like probably like 50, 60, I don't know, 80 pages per volume. And you're only paying $10. So if you buy 2 issues of comics, that equates to 1 volume of manga, which covers so much story. And a comic expands like, I don't know, 60 different issues or something, I think.
A lot.
Yeah, and you have to wait
Depends on the story arc.
Yeah, and you have to wait like what, a month every issue for it to come out.
Yeah.
So
I've noticed lately a lot of comics having like shorter runs.
Yeah. I don't doubt it because, people are kind of... I think that's another thing why people don't really pick up comics anymore. At least the younger generation as well, is because of the fact that, okay, why would I read a comic that's only like 10 pages long when I could just read a manga that's like fully fleshed, beautiful art, even though it's in black and white, that's totally fine. It's a really good story and everything. I get a big chunk of the story digested, and I can just wait for the next volume because you have all month to read that because there's so much pages to cover. As opposed to a comic, you can read it within like 5 minutes or even less than that. Actually, probably like 3 minutes. You could probably finish the whole comic, unless you're like looking at every single speck of pixel on the page. I don't know. But
yeah, no, I definitely on that one.
Yeah,
I remember a few weeks ago, I was online and I was looking at this comic series. I was like, okay, it's only on issue 4. I can pick this up and I'll be fine. And I went to order it to like subscribe to it, and I was like, oh, by the way, the last issue just came out. It was a 4-issue long series. What's the point in that?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It's like saying, hey, here's a manga. It's 4 chapters long.
Dang.
Yeah, that's why when it comes to comics, I prefer to buy the I guess not hardback.
The omnibus. Where it's like a... Yeah.
Yeah. Could you explain what that is, Ducky?
So when a series finishes, they compile all of the issues into one. So an example would be, I've recently just finished reading House of X and Power of X, which is 12 comics from the X-Men series compiled into one book. So it's more of a graphic novel than a comic book.
Mm-hmm. And another thing I wanted to bring up too, like what Ducky said, like 12 comics in one book, is that sometimes the way they do comics here, the continuity is like all over the place. That's one thing that I hate, because like when you think of Batman, okay, you would think like, okay, there's a story of Batman, right? But the thing is, like, if you go into a comic book shop, Maru, like, there's like 30 different types of Batman stories. Like,
see,
30...
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like 30 different comic story arcs, right? And as opposed to that, manga at best has like 2 different types of manga, maybe like a side story manga, right? But it's like all within the same universe, and all like it's like easy, simple, because there's volume 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. There isn't like 50 different issues coming out at the same time for Batman or like Spider-Man or whatever. So I think Marvel is trying to like make it so it's only like one specific Spider-Man issue until that's over. Then they do a different story arc or a different story universe or whatever. But even that itself is the problem, in my opinion, with comics. The fact that
for too long and stuff.
It's so short that they start a new universe, and it's like confused because it's like, okay, what happened? Which issue should I start with? Is there like a continuity to this?
Exactly. Like you read something and then you find it interesting, only to find out, oh, that was it for that story. Like, this is just a separate story from the actual story you should be actually reading. And then you think you're actually reading the story, but then you find out that no, it's just another side story, and there's just too much to it.
And the thing is a lot of it is not even a side story.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. There's just so much.
It's just a load of small main stories.
Yeah.
Like, they're so small, they are like side stories. And then they have these big events, like Avengers vs. X-Men, which is a very good comic, by the way, where it's like everyone comes together and then they're all away doing their own thing again.
Yeah.
And the thing is that the problem with that, with like having multiple characters and within one story arc, like a big event kind of thing, is that you don't know, or at least for newcomers, they don't know which comic they should pick up in order to get to that event, because they might pick up Spider-Man Unlimited, and there's another Spider-Man comic that's like Spider-Man Ultimate Spider-Man or whatever, and they're like, okay, and everybody's talking about this big event, and they're like, okay, I'm just gonna pick up Unlimited, and it turns out that's a whole different thing. It has nothing to do with that goes up to that big event. And that's one of the main issues that I have with comics, is just the fact that it's all over the place. But the good thing about that, though, from what I can see, is that, okay, you can just pick up volume 1 of any story and just not worry about, like, okay, is this like the right one or whatever. But the issue, but I think it's a bigger flaw than a good thing, because of the fact that there is no continuity, there is no like canon storyline, there's no one storyline, because there's so much of this character.
And not only that, because like if people are talking about something, you think you're following along with them, or then you get confused and it's like, wait, but I'm reading this thing. Is it not the correct thing?
Yeah. I have issues like that too.
Yeah, I mean, like I've tried to get more into the comics and stuff like that, but like I could never ever follow the stories behind like the DC and Marvel superheroes because of like how many different stories they have for them. That like when people talk about them and they're like, oh yeah, did you read this or whatever? Like, oh, the actual story behind this character is blah blah blah, and I'm just sitting there thinking like, wait, I thought it was this other thing because that's what I had seen or what I have read, but then it turns out that I was wrong the whole time because like I didn't read the right story.
Yeah, it's like saying like, okay, here's My Hero Academia, but My Hero Academia Unlimited or My Hero Academia Universe 52
Vigilantes,
or
which
something.
is an actual spin-off of it.
Yeah, but at least Vigilantes was like there's only like two different
spin-off.
Yeah, one. There's only one spin-off of that main story arc or storyline, right? As opposed to like multiple storylines or whatever. Like you don't have to ask if you go up to somebody and you tell them, "Have you seen the latest My Hero Academia?" and the whole thing, and they're like, "Okay, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about."
Say which one.
Yeah, but and it makes it easier because everybody knows what's going on. But if you go up to a comic book person, it's like, do you know about Spider-Man and this event and stuff like that? And they're like, wait, which one? Because there's like so many different Spider-Man timelines and stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. There's just too much to take in and stuff like that, and especially like, yeah, maybe you could start wherever and stuff like that, but the bad thing is like you could be starting at the wrong story compared to like what someone else is talking about and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you don't get like the full experience of like the character. Like, sure, they have to redo the origins, and that's the bad thing about that too, is that once you get through a Spider-Man comic, sometimes Marvel likes to like keep the origin the same.
To the beginning.
Yeah, they do go back to the beginning to a lot of this different iterations of the same hero, but it's like they redo the beginning is almost similar in terms of story because they want to keep it similar. So it's like, okay, this is canon for every single Spider-Man character. Sometimes you get that crazy wild thing where it's like, okay, they just skip the origin and go directly into the core of the story, the theme. But a lot of the times, it's like when they start a new Spider-Man version, it's like we're just gonna repeat the same beginning, and it's like, okay, that's kind of boring.
I will say one thing though. I did like the movies Into the Spider-Verse, because like the fact that what we mentioned now and the fact that they have so many stories with this, like the same kind of like character for different like just character designs and maybe like a change here and there. I thought it was pretty interesting that they would do that and stuff, and like just like combine all their like some of their characters from like different dimensions pretty much, but they all have like the same kind of like ability and story. I don't know. I thought it was a pretty interesting movie. Besides the fact that the art was cool.
In that movie, there were like 6-7 Spider-Men. I don't know. In the comic Spider-Verse, there were like dozens of Spider-Men in that thing.
Yeah, of course. Of course there is, because there's that many Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
Crazy, but I don't know.
What I like to do with comics is I find like 2 or 3 series that are ongoing, and then I like cling to those series until they end, and I find new ones. I don't focus on every single comic that's ongoing because that would just, that's one, expensive, and 2, confusing.
Yeah.
So like the only series I read currently is The Champions, which is like a really weird, well not weird, but like a bizarre team of young superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the way to do it though. To just take it, like to take the recent stuff and like read it from there.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to know like the backstory of like the original one, then you probably have to do some research.
I miss the 70s where the most complicated things in comics was Iron Man having a drinking problem.
Yeah, no kidding, dude.
I bet a lot of people miss that too.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, with that being said, I think we pretty much like covered what we wanted to say in terms of this topic. I don't know if you guys have anything else to add.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think that's about it.
Comic books are cool, but they have a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of problems.
I don't know. Would you like to do the outro as always, Ducky?
Okay, well, so thank you for listening to this episode. As a little side note at the end, I would like to wish a happy birthday to our good friend Steona on the day of recording this. It's her birthday. Woohoo! Yeah. So thanks for listening. Hope you've enjoyed. Let us know your thoughts on our Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. You can also email us anipop.podcast@gmail.com or put it in the comments if you're watching / listening on YouTube. Next week we will have a special episode for you guys. Yeah, you can find us on any platform that has podcasts. I hope you've enjoyed. See you next week.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
See
Bye. See ya.
Bye.
Farewell.